And what motivated you to go to the Maynooth?
Maynooth. I suppose, I often think about that as to why I went to one place rather than another.
Why did you go at all? Any
I
place?
was- yeah. I thought a lot about it. I know that in my fourth year, I thought a fair bit about it, what I would do. I had a girlfriend at the time as well, and that was another preoccupation. But finally, in the end, I remember one day I was walking with my dad, we were going down to lands that we had close to the sea, and we were walking on, and he said to me, "Oh, by the way, what are you thinking about doing?" And, there was that kind of silence as we walked down the road together. And I said to him, I think I might go and try the priesthood. And there was a long silence. We walked along, and then he turned to me and he said, "You're old enough now to make up your own mind. And if that's what you're deciding to do, that's fine. That's fine, I'll support you. And I wish you well. But I just want to say one thing to you, and I think this always stuck in my mind. Is that if at any stage you find that this is not your journey to the future, or your path to the future, I want you to get out. Get out. Come back home. Come back home. Because, there are things in business that we could do together. And keep that in mind." And I found at that time, that was, it was a wise statement on his part. And it certainly gave me a sense of, I'm going to venture into this, see what I can do. And if I find that it's not for me, well, I know that my dad would certainly welcome me home. But anyway, that was, I suppose in a way I felt that it would be a way of helping people. And I suppose in a way of kind of helping them to be enriched in their lives and to enjoy their life and to enable them to live their life in a deeper and a richer way and live their faith and build the Christian community. I felt that would be a broad trend of my motivation so far as I kind of had it worked out.
Were you religious within yourself?
I would say a bit, really. I would have been, I suppose, my own family background would be my mother and my dad as well. They would be decent Christian people, and it's more or less what I saw them do more than anything else that influenced me.
But there was a strong religious ethos. Generally, that wasn't it?
Yeah. And a good practical sense of it wouldn't be kind of all prayer, that it was particularly action. The one memory as a child that's really, I think, stayed with me of with the village shop in the village, and Dad was in a bit of business and so forth. But I remember one Christmas, there was a tradition there of going with Christmas boxes, to customers. And I remember he asked me to go with him. I'd say I'd be about 7 or so at the time. So I went out with him, of course, anytime going around, any distraction was good. And he was giving Christmas boxes of groceries, the usual, to different
USA
families.
Assorted.
Huh?
USA Assorted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that blend.
Remember them, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, and very often then, I was there, and very often people I felt they were giving it to me, really, a duck or a goose or something like that. And these were in the back of the car, we're coming back. And then we came home by the tea, and then he said, we have to go on another journey. And what we did then at that stage, he had other boxes made up. But what came as geese or duck or whatever else, they were also left discreetly into different homes. And I remember him saying to me, he said, hopefully that'll make a better Christmas in that home. That kind of thing stuck with me as a kind of discreet, practical Christianity.
He was kind man, obviously.
And he was, a generous spirit.
So you went up to Maynooth. What was it like there?
Do you know, in many ways, it was a kind of a continuity of the general routine of Jarlath's. It was, of course, it's a huge place. It's daunting, really. The buildings and the whole setting of Maynooth. And
had you gone to it before, previously, from your secondary school?
No, I hadn't. No.
And what did you think when you walked in and saw this massive, magnificent building?
It was daunting, really. I suppose there are certain things. You had your own room, of course, and your own line, and you had the whole pattern of games and sport was there as well, times for study and all of that, and the general formation program that went on. In many ways, it had a kind of continuity of the stream of life of Jarlath's, you know, and then you see the first 3 years. Then there was. In fact, it was one of the colleges of the National University. We did the university course, and you got an arts degree or a science degree or whatever, and then went into theology. And I must say, I enjoyed Maynooth. I enjoyed it. There would have been at the time, I suppose, the best part of 500 students there.
My God! And many were in your class.
Well, our class, we went in, and I think we had about 67. And then students came in, some came in from Cork later, and then some came from down in Connor and from Dublin. So in the overall, I'd say, in terms of those who came in the beginning and right through, you'd have about over 100.
So how many years did it take?
7.
7 years.
3 years for arts and philosophy, and then 4 years theology.
It's a lot of study, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of study.
Yeah, fair bit of study, yeah.
And what would you study most?
Well, I suppose in the beginning you do the broad arts subjects. I did classics, Greek and Latin, and well, you do up to first arts. You do about 5 or 6 subjects at least, and then we went into theology, and we'd have to do a whole range of theology, history, and all of that, the history of theology, and that would be dogmatic theology, moral theology, canon law, history, sociology, and a broad range then of spirituality and reading, I suppose, all of that.
Who was the president there at the time when you were there?
When we went in, there was Dr. Cassan was president. He was a Kerry man, scripture scholar. He was president, and he died while we were there. And then we had Jerry Mitchell, who was a priest of our diocese. He became president after him. And they were both there. He was there from about, Dr. Cassan was there from 1963 to 66, I would say. No, sorry, 1956 to 59. And then Dr. Mitchell came in, Jerry Mitchell came in after that. He subsequently was parish priest in Ballinrobe. But like Thomas O'Feach was our history professor, later became cardinal, and he was a great teacher. I must say I enjoyed it. You know, there's a lot of activity would be going on as well. There'd be drama going on, and sport would be very, very much the fore in it, and you'd have a lot of people coming in giving concerts, and it was certainly I enjoyed it. Still, I would have great autograph from Maynooth. And
did you have freedom there? Could you go in and go out as you pleased?
No.
Oh
no. That would be would be quite restricted in terms. You got out to Dublin for various reasons. You know, the normal things. A family were sick, or you get home, and if you had reason to go for some medical treatment in Dublin or whatever, there was no difficulty about getting out. But it was pretty. It was a pretty disciplined regime, you know. And
do you have any rebels in there?
Oh, you'd always have plenty of rebels in it. You know, you know, a whole variety in it.
And they came through
of characters, and they would have. You know, the extraordinary thing, I remember one day, you know, there was one big walk going up. They used to call it Graff, I suppose, just going after Grafton Street was. And some character in our group said, "It's an extraordinary thing when you look out there now that you have such a variety of characters, from Derry to Kerry and all over the whole country, and they would even have one thing in common, in some way to continue on and be a priest." But yeah, it was a disciplined place, and of course it was after our time then that, see, we towards the end of our studies there, the Vatican Council was going on, and things were beginning to.
You were in Maynooth that time.
Yeah.
And was it a great subject of debate or discussion?
Yeah, it was just beginning. You see, it was 1963. We were ordained. It was just beginning at that stage, and you know, there was a whole. Those things were opening up, and there's a greater sense of freedom around. And
did you understand it
at the time?
Yeah, I never really understood it myself.
It took us a while to come to terms with it, and the whole, you know, the whole new. It really made us reflect on a lot of things at that stage, and because you see, we when our preparation was the same as was done for 100 years or more before that. We learned to celebrate Mass in Latin. Latin was a lot of our textbooks were in Latin, and
you're back to the crowd.
Yeah. And then there was this whole change, and we were lucky in that sense that we kind of came out. We straddled both experiences, the old and the new. Yes, yeah.
So when were you ordained?
I was ordained in 23rd of June 1963.
That was the big day in your life.
Oh yeah, it was. You know, it was a significant day for all of us. I suppose we had.
I suppose a bit like our weddings.
Yeah,
big day. Family up.
Of course. Yeah, we're very limited.
Where were you ordained?
Ordained in Maynooth.
In Maynooth. All that time. All that time. Yeah.
That began to change afterwards, where they came to. You know, they had ordinations were done at the local parishes or the local cathedral, and but our year we were all ordained there, and there would be about 63. In fact, we're back last June now for the Golden Jubilee, and of our class this year for that Jubilee, I would say that there are 30 of us can celebrate at Mass, and I'd say there were about 14 or 15 would have died. I think about 6 or 7 would have left ministry, and some of them got married, and some were sick, couldn't make it. But 30 of us coming back was a pretty significant number after
a good number,
years.
Yeah,
I think that's due to stents and stents and antibiotics and physiotherapists and all that. Keep us more limber, keep us going.
Did any of the guys that left come back? Did any of the guys that left?
Oh yeah,
they came back. Did they?
Yeah. But we had a number of meetings over the years, and they'd always be invited. They'd always be invited. So there were quite a number of them back, and their wives.
Nice for them to come back and talk to them and see how they got on. And
yeah.
Many of them ever regret leaving. Would they express that? They wouldn't, would they?
I suppose they wouldn't have regret in the sense of they made their own decision, but they would certainly feel a strong bond with the class, you know, and equally I'd say with the place itself, you know, they'd have a warm spot for it. But I should know. I suppose it's, you know, it takes a while when you think about going in, and it certainly takes a while when you think about leaving as well, you know.
I'd say that's a big decision.